Because one of the things the Lord warned about was when the Lord returns to the earth, will he find faith on earth? The reason why he knew he would not find faith is because how they've mixed these two gospels. As you well know, and I've repeated, that there is the gospel of circumcision, which we've mentioned many times, and the gospel of uncircumcision. Those are two gospels. One finished at the cross and the other one begun at the cross. Both begun there. And if you're not careful with these two principles, you fall into apostasy. And it isn't that the person is evil, it's that the person is in apostasy. He's an apostate for representing a false gospel. Those two gospels you must define properly, and how we try to explain this. Because if a person was to understand in what gospel he belongs to, he's established and he's enlightened. Well, it isn't easy. So let's read in Romans 10:5. Well, let's read 10:4 and 5, because there it's where the gospel of circumcision is represented, one of the gospels. And then in Romans 10:8, the other one is represented. Notice what it says in Romans 10:4. To begin, this is the first verse we're using. It says, "For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes. For Moses writes about the righteousness which is of the law, the man who does." The man who does those things shall live by them. So then we notice that circumcision has to do with works, with doing things. Because in circumcision, you can't apply faith, because then you're not in circumcision. Nevertheless, we see that in uncircumcision, uncircumcision begins in verse 8, right there. Romans chapter 10, verse 8. But what does it say? The word is near you in your mouth and in your heart, which means your mind. That is the word of faith which we preach. So then the beginning of the gospel of uncircumcision begins saying, this is the word of faith which we preach. This is near you, near your mouth. Do you remember that in the past we spoke about the mouth? Because the mouth is the channel that defines what's in your heart. And if in your heart you're set to do works, then you don't live by faith. That's where apostasy comes from those two fountains. That's where James says that through one fountain can you deliver bitter and sweet water? That is the great situation or problem that the world faces and is confronting. These so-called Christian churches have lost track of that reality. It's a simple reality, but if you're misunderstanding this, you fall into works and you don't walk in faith. So the conclusion is in that for 2,000 years, that false gospel has been lived.